Welcome into This is MLS. I'm your host, Kaylin Kyle, and I couldn't do this show alone, so let's bring in the guys, Sasha Question and Mo Adu. Sasha with a fresh new haircut, I'm feeling it, and Mo with a fresh new knee brace. What the hell happened?
What the helly, Barry? I don't know, man. Listen, I'm getting old. I try to fight the fact that I had to face that reality at some point. But, these kids are keeping me young, just trying to keep up with them. And somehow, some way, guys, tore my meniscus, had to have surgery. Alas, here I am.
Didn't have time to go get a haircut or get out of your pajamas this morning, Mo?
That's why you see me. You see me as I am. I'm here. I'm trying to be transparent, give the people the real version of me. So you're going to get me at my best. You're going to get me at my worst. And here I am, baby.
Well, Mo, it's because you actually had to do the school runs today. Sasha, he got his driver to pick his kids up, drop them off over in California.
It's that different money over there in California,
money.
We walked to school, nice. Thank you very much.
He walks to school with a security escort.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, let's get straight into it because there was some big news earlier this week. It is official. LAFC will host Club América in a playoff position to enter into the FIFA Club World Cup kicking off this summer. The game will happen May 31st over at BMO, that stadium, obviously home of LAFC. So, Mo, when we look at LAFC, we know it's one of those biggest teams here in Major League Soccer. They're no strangers to lifting hardware, but we saw when they were in multiple competitions, them fall off in the regular season. Is this a good thing or a bad thing for them?
It's a great thing for LAFC. It's a great opportunity for LAFC to earn a spot into the FIFA Club World Cup. I like the fact that you mentioned playing in multiple competitions because there would have been a massive disappointment the way that they went out in CCC to enter Miami, but now they've been given this opportunity, this incredible opportunity. This is what this club was built on. They were built on this promise of competing for silverware, competing for hardware, playing in all the biggest competitions, and being one of, if not the best club in Major League Soccer and trying to earn the title of being the best club in North America. And so now they have this opportunity, this pressure that comes with this one-off game as well. But this is the pressure that you want. This means that you have expectations from your club, from your fans, from your players, from everyone associated and that supports this team. I will say that I like the fact that they're playing at home. You always want to have that kind of home field advantage. The one thing, though, is LAFC have struggled against Mexican teams in one-off games. We saw that in Campeones Cup. We saw them lose the second leg in the CCC in 2023, and we saw them lose to Mexican teams in 2020 as well in CONCACAF Champions League. So this will be a chance to kind of put those demons to bed and recognize what's in front of them, the massive opportunity. And especially for Steve Cherundolo, he's already made it clear that he's leaving at the end of the season. What an opportunity for him to go out in a major and a positive way by earning a spot into the FIFA Club World Cup.
Yeah, and think about the players, the opportunity for them. Not only monetarily, right? This is essentially a $10 million game. You get that bonus for making it into the group stage of the Club World Cup. But then you get put in the shop window. You play against some of the biggest clubs from Europe and Africa and South America and Asia, and all the eyeballs will be on this tournament. Players like David Ortiz, David Martinez, like Nathan Ordaz, young players who will now be playing against the biggest clubs with eyeballs on them if they dream about going to Europe and moving on to the higher levels of European soccer. This is an opportunity for them. Remember, LAFC did win their last final at home in the U.S. Open Cup against Kansas City last season, so they exercised those demons a little bit, but the pressure is on LAFC in this game to win. It's a massive opportunity for the club.
FIFA World Cup will be played in the United States. There's, I think, 11 or 12 venues. You have the Seattle Sounders, Inter Miami, and now potentially LAFC. Is there higher expectations considering it is technically a home tournament for them?
Yeah. In the tournament or to earn the spot into the tournament?
Both.
Well, this is what I said. This is what I was saying about playing at home. So you won't have to go down to Mexico. You don't have to worry about travel. We all know, all three of us played, right? And so you always appreciated the value of having your normal routine, your normal game day routine that's unobstructed, uninterrupted. There's no travel involved. There's the comforts of knowing your home stadium. Your fans are going to be out there in numbers supporting you. So all that's in your favor. Now it's just up to the players to go out there and execute on the pitch. And I love Sasha's point there about the shop window. That's so massive, right? There's been a bigger spotlight placed on MLS in the last few years, Messi playing a role in that, but also just the growth of the league playing a role in that. But now to be to play against Chelsea, to be the best teams, the best players in the world, a guy like Nathan Ordaz, who's ascended the pecking order at LAFC, is the starting striker at the moment. He has a chance now to be showing himself in a tournament. We know in a tournament, anything can happen, right? So let's say this guy bangs a few goals in the group stage, and now suddenly he's maybe the leading goal scorer in this competition. I'm being very optimistic here. Glass incredibly half full for me. But that's the dream, right? That's the dream scenario for these young players and for LAFC as a club as well.
Can LAFC knock off Club America in a one-off match, Sash?
Yeah, definitely. They've shown the ability to beat anybody in North America. They played Club America in a preseason game at BMO, and they won that game. We televised that one on Apple TV. I thought they played well. Nathan Ordaz actually scored in that game as well. So I believe that LAFC can do it. Now they have to show up and be ready to fight and play a final that really has appeared out of nowhere. But as we think about the big picture as well for these MLS teams to play in the FIFA Club World Cup, it's also just an ability and an opportunity to showcase our league. Imagine the fans that are going to be showing up to these different stadiums around the United States who aren't necessarily fans of Major League Soccer, but maybe they're fans of Chelsea or Man City or Real Madrid, but they show up and they get to see a talented LAFC team or Inter Miami or Seattle. It's just an opportunity to make new fans of Major League Soccer, and I hope our boys go out there and do well.
Oh, that game kicking off May 31st. LAFC will welcome Club America at home. And then this also goes to our next point of multiple competitions. You have the Vancouver Whitecaps that continue to do it, and they will do it on Sunday Night Soccer next weekend. The Vancouver Whitecaps welcoming LAFC. Our coverage beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern, followed by halftime analysis, and then wrapping up our night with MLS wrap-up with Kevin Egan and the guys. Now, speaking of Vancouver, Sash, I was listening to MLS wrap up from Matchday 11. It was such an interesting point because you guys dove into the team of who is the real MVP currently right now for Vancouver.
Listen, it's who's the MVP of the team, and do they actually have anybody that should be considered for MVP of the entire league? And my answer right now is no. I just wrote an article that was posted on the MLS website this morning about MVP of MLS at this point in the season, and I didn't include anybody from Vancouver in the top 5, which some people might think is pretty drastic, but they've been so good as a team that there isn't just one player who stands out head and shoulders above the rest. You could make the case for Brian White, but he's only scored in 3 MLS games this season. Ryan Gauld would be the guy that we could talk about as the MVP, but he's been injured for most of the season. Pedro Vite, Sebastian Berhalter, Andres Cubas, all 3 of them make up a really special midfield. Tristan Blackman, Rocco Veselinovic, you could make a case for them to be Defender of the Year. Jesper Sorensen is hands down the Coach of the Year. I think if there was a vote right now, it would be unanimous that he would win. They just rotate guys in and out of the lineup, and things don't change. They are what every team wants to be in Major League Soccer, that wants to play in multiple competitions and be leading in all of them. They've hands down been the best team in Major League Soccer. I can't make a case for who's the most important player on the team.
Ooh.
I love all that from Sash, and I've been beating the drum for Vancouver ever since I saw them play that Monterrey series.
Mo, you got to give yourself some credit because you did say on This Is MLS that they weren't going to take down Inter Miami. So we got to give our flowers to you. We can roll that in. I'll go back, look at the video footage because you did call that, and I did go against you a little bit. Sorry for interrupting. Go on.
No, and I appreciate that, and it's a lot of what Sasha said. The reasons behind that are exactly what Sasha said. Sorensen, the way that this core group of players have taken the next step in their career. But I want to, first of all, before I even start talking about Vancouver, I want to address the fans. I want to address the media, us included, and I want to address the rest of the players in MLS, right? Listen, MLS All-Star Game is coming up soon. Voting's going to open relatively soon. It's only right that we see at least 4 or 5 Vancouver players on the MLS All-Star roster because of how impressive they've been. And this is across all competitions. I know All-Star Game should be a reflection of MLS. Well, if that's the case, they're top of the Supporters' Shield. They've gone out against some of the biggest teams and shown their quality and their level of consistency. So this is my rally call for guys to step up and validate what these players have done on the pitch to date, because a lot of these players deserve to be a part of that. But getting back to Vancouver specifically, they're doing all this and having this success with one DP available, a defensive midfielder and Andres Cubas, right? They only have 2 on the roster, Ryan Gauld being the other one, and he's played maybe 5 games in the league. So I love the growth that we've seen from this Vancouver side in totality. But now the challenge for them is to go out there and win trophies. Now you're putting yourself in prime positions. You're in the final of the CCC. I'm sure they'll be advancing in the Canadian Cup as well. MLS Cup should be on their horizon. They should be chasing that, as well as Supporters Shield, right? So that's the next step. The next evolution for this group is to maintain this level of consistency and go out there and actually win trophies. Okay, the last thing I'll add is I've covered Vancouver versus LAFC, and I'm sure you guys have watched these games and been a part of the coverage as well. One of the biggest compliments I can pay Vancouver is this time around, this game is an opportunity for LAFC. I feel like every time I've done this game, it's been Vancouver who has the opportunity to go out there and prove themselves against LAFC, show they can play with the big boys. Well, LAFC's had a slower start to this season, and now, respectfully, and I hope that they disagree with me, LAFC, but the onus is on them to go out there and show that they can go into Vancouver and get a result with the best team in the league at the moment.
Well, I haven't been as excited for a Sunday night soccer game this season as much as I am for this one, let's be honest. And I am with Mo that this is an opportunity for LAFC to go up there and spoil the party. They're actually massive underdogs, I think, for the first time in 5 years in almost any game that they play in. Yeah. And LAFC has knocked Vancouver out, last 2 years from the playoffs and the CONCACAF Champions Cup last season. So I think there are some demons to be exercised by Vancouver. I think they know that LAFC has had their number historically, but they are the favorite now and they're playing with tons of confidence. I just think this game is going to be fantastic on Sunday night.
Who wins it?
Oh, listen, Vancouver's the favorite. I would still stick with Vancouver. I don't see a way that LAFC goes in there and dominates them and beats them at home.
Mo?
Oh,
you can't sit quietly.
Oh, no, I thought we were moving on, but yeah, I got to go with Vancouver as well. I mean, they're at home, they're in form. It's a crazy story, and I love the way that they continue to add more chapters to this book that they're writing.
I love it. Sunday Night Soccer up in BC, Vancouver welcoming LAFC. Our coverage beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern right here on MLS Season Pass. Let's look at the Western Conference, though, heading into Matchday 12 in the 2025 season. Vancouver is continuing to impress, sitting top with 26 points. Minnesota, Portland, San Diego, and LAFC second through fifth. Dallas rounding out that final playoff position. And at the bottom half of the table, LA Galaxy still searching for their first win of the season. Houston, St. Louis in 13th and 14th. Now over in the Eastern Conference, Columbus continue to impress as well, sitting on 24 points. Philly, Cincy, Miami, and Charlotte is second through fifth. New England holding out that final playoff position. And at the bottom half of the table, Montreal still searching for their first win of the season. Now let's play a game of this or that. There's a few different teams. I'll give you a statement around different contents of the clubs. You tell me if it because of this or that. Are we ready, gentlemen? Does it make sense? If it doesn't make sense, blame our producer, Tim, okay? This is on him. First question. LA Galaxy are the worst defending champions in Major League Soccer history. This, Greg Vanney is at fault for Galaxy's capitulation to start the season, or that, the roster build and injuries have been too much to overcome. Sash, let's start with you.
I'm gonna go with this, but I'm also gonna add the caveat: it's not all on Greg Vanney; it's on the players as well. They are not performing up to the level that they set last season. Gabriel Peck, Joseph Paintsil, everything they touched last season turned to gold. Goals, assists. Now the final play is always missing by about this much for the LA Galaxy. It hasn't been the same. When we looked at the Galaxy last season, we said, how many players on that roster were having a really good season? Yoshida, Yamane, Nelson, Sorillo, other guys in the midfield that aren't there anymore. Peck, Paintsil. The team that they played against Kansas City last week, it had basically 10 of the 11 players from MLS Cup. Dejan Joveljic was the one that wasn't there. And they still couldn't beat Kansas City. This one is a little bit more on the players for me.
I'm going to add this, that, and the third is going to be my option because I agree. Like, I'm looking at my notes right here, and everything that I have written is basically what Sasha said. I can't fault Greg because players are goalkeepers are having blunders. Defenders are doing things that are just so far from their norm. Whether it's silly fouls, whether it's silly mistakes, experienced players in that back line that are just, making gaffes. So to me, it's been a lot of individual mistakes. And then if you go to their most recent game against Sporting Kansas City, so defensively, they don't concede a shot, and somehow you still lose that game. You get into attacking positions where you're normally so comfortable. You're normally making the right decision. Instead of taking a shot from the end line, you're cutting that ball back for a tap in, or a ball gets played square. You're finishing off a play. So I can't sit here and point at Greg Vanney and say you're the reason why these guys aren't executing. To me, that's incredibly harsh. And I also don't believe you go from being a top manager to a poor manager overnight. That doesn't happen. So if I had to choose between this and that, I would probably lean a little bit more towards that, and that maybe the roster doesn't complement the success that we saw them have last year. But to me, again, it's more so just individual errors, players not playing to the level that they set for themselves and the expectation that this club has.
Okay, I know we're supposed to do this and that. Tactically, though, does Greg Vanney need to change his shape or formation, Sash?
I think he should have the ability during games to change things a little bit more. It seems pretty rigid that it's always a 4-3-3, and he has shown in the past that he has tactical flexibility. Yeah. But lately with the Galaxy, it seems like he's unwilling to change when maybe things should. When you play with that 4-3-3 and Ricky Pooch is healthy and he makes things tick, stick with it. It was perfect last season. Right now, things are not going well. You might need to change a little bit of something, especially in game. Against Portland, they kind of switched to a 4-4-2 and they had a little bit more success. They looked better in attack. All that's to say, this last game against Kansas City, Mo is right. They got themselves consistently into the right positions, and defensively, they were very organized and very sound against Kansas City. They just couldn't make plays in the attacking box. As a coach, that must be very frustrating to watch.
The first time in MLS history to lose a game where you've had no shots on target. So that tells you everything you need to know where the LA Galaxy are currently in the 2025 season. Let's jump from the West Coast over to the East Coast. Inter Miami, this or that. Inter Miami season is MLS Cup or bust. This, finishing the season with any trophy, is a win. Or that, the expectations for Messi in Miami have to be more than 2 trophies that they've already won. Mo, let's start with you.
I actually want Sasha to go first, because I know where he's going
Sasha,
with this.
let's go.
I'm going to go with this. Winning any trophy is a successful season. That is the barometer of success in Major League Soccer. Now, I know the expectations for Miami are probably higher, or everybody in the media thinks it's higher. If they don't win MLS Cup, he's a disappointment. Messi is a bust in MLS. It will be a failure if he doesn't win MLS Cup. Sorry. You're telling me that if he can't win a tournament at the end of the season where you've got to win 5 or 6 games in a row, then he's a failure? Sorry, I disagree. Regardless of what happens the rest of his way in Major League Soccer, it has been a success with the eyeballs that he has brought to this league and what he has done for soccer in America. Winning a trophy any season, we know how difficult it is in MLS. There are 30 teams. He's already won a Leagues Cup. He's already won a Supporter Shield, and they are in every competition that they play. Mm-hmm. I think winning any trophy this year is another successful season.
So here's what okay. I think
you addressed right now. Most cooking.
No, I think he addressed 2 different things. So Messi's tenure in the MLS is going to be a success regardless in my mind, because of what you said there, Sash, about the eyeballs that he's attracted, the exposure, the light that he shined on this league in a completely different way, for sure. The way that he kickstarted his career in MLS was incredible, right? Well, maybe it was in Leagues Cup, but for Inter Miami, I'll say the whole run through Leagues Cup, fantastic. And what that did was it gave Inter Miami belief. It gave that fan base belief that there was more to come. So they didn't make the playoffs that year. That's fine. The following year, Supporter Shield, great level of success. Yada yada yada. They did it in a record-breaking way. Okay, so how do you raise the bar again? You're not in Leagues Cup, or Leagues Cup is coming. You've already won. That doesn't matter. FIFA Club World Cup, are you going to really win that? Doubt it. Open Cup, they're playing an MLS Next Pro team, so that's kind of written off. CCC, you're out. So what you have to play for this year in front of you is Supporter Shield, which you've already won, Leagues Cup, which you've already won. The only thing that's really in front of you that you haven't attained yet is MLS Cup. Messi was brought here to win MLS Cup, to win the biggest competition, CCC. If they can go on and make a run in FIFA Club World Cup, even better. But ultimately, Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a bust because, like I said, I already think his story is written and what he's done to this league, the impact is incredible. But for Inter Miami, more so, not just Messi, for Inter Miami, yes, MLS Cup is what they're measured based on. We remember teams, we remember players, we remember eras of teams based on how much success they had in terms of winning MLS Cup. Sash, your teams will be remembered because you won Supporters Shield, but there will always be that little asterisk that you guys didn't win MLS Cup, right? And I know that in every other league across the world, Supporters Shield is the trophy, is what kind of dictates who the champion is. Here in this league, we prioritize MLS Cup. We prioritize a team that can make a run in the playoffs and crown themselves the champion.
But is there any other team?
Mo just did there to you?
But is there any other team in MLS that the expectation is you win MLS Cup or your season's a disappointment?
Probably not, but that's what other team has Messi, Busquets, Alba. That comes with the territory, you know? And Sasha, it goes back to our LAFC conversation, right? Where we were talking about you want that pressure. You want that pressure because that means that you're a team that's respected, you're a team that's expected, and that's what Inter Miami is. You have four of the best players that have ever graced the pitch playing on your team. Yes, I know they're at a different time in their career, but you have four of the greatest players, and you went out there and spent that money knowing that the pressure and the expectation from all of us was going to be based on if you could win MLS Cup. And so make no mistake about it, that's what these players are chasing. Yeah, in doing that, they'll be chasing Supporters Shield, but ultimately, when that final game is played, they want to be playing in that game, and Messi wants to be lifting MLS Cup.
Okay. Can they lift the MLS Cup?
Yeah, of course they can. They still are.
Do you think they will, though? After you've seen 11 match days in the CONCACAF Champions Cup run that they had.
Listen, it is definitely possible, Kaylin. They are still one of the best teams in MLS. They were outclassed by Vancouver over 2 legs for sure. But you got to remember, the MLS Cup is a final that they could be playing at home, depending on how they finish the regular season. So, no, I've learned my lessons to never bet against Lionel Messi, and I do think they can win MLS Cup. They still are talented enough, they're good enough, and they've also shown that if things aren't going up to their standard, they will go out into the market and add more players. They added money in the early transfer window by selling off Robert Taylor and getting rid of Julian Gressel. So they've got some money in the bank to spend this summer as well, and don't be surprised when they continue to add quality players.
That's the biggest thing right there. That's the biggest thing right there is that this team that we're seeing, and this goes across the board, across the league for all the teams that have flexibility. The version of these teams that we're seeing right now is not the version that we're going to see come the back end of the season, because the transfer window this summer will present opportunities for teams to learn from what this first half has shown them and find ways to improve their team and give them a better chance to go out there and compete for MLS Cup.
Let's talk over in Texas. Austin are currently in 6th in the West and a potential contender. So for this, the structure under Nico Estevez is enough to carry them, or that they've had a flash in the pan to start the season and will fall back down to earth.
Contender for what? For a playoff spot?
Contender for, I don't know, winning the West.
No, if that's the case, I'm going to go that, I guess, was the option. And I've had a couple good conversations with Nico Estevez, and I love he's very aware. He's aware of what his reality is with his team at the moment, that they need to find ways to create more chances, to establish some level of consistency in terms of how they create their chances. Right now, they've scored 7 goals. 7 goals. Like, you're not going to contend for anything by scoring 7 goals. And I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because I've been very vocal in the past and given flowers to teams that are able to win games by small margins, win games 1-0, and, lean into your defensive qualities to give you a chance to nick a goal in the end. Mm-hmm. My counter to that for Austin is I don't believe that they can find ways to consistently score goals. So yes, we've praised them for how good they've been defensively, and that's been the foundation for this group. But I still just don't trust that there's enough chemistry, creativity. When you watch a team play and you're like, okay, well, I know they're going to try to create goals by doing X, Y, and Z. Now, whether it happens or not is more so just down to execution. I don't know what that is for Austin right now. I don't know what that final third actions are that are going to lead to them creating chances. So for those reasons, no, I'm going to go with, I think the option was that.
Or just go neither.
Yeah, no, listen. They were a flash in the pan for sure. And Mo, are you sure that Nico Estevez is fully aware of what their limitations are? Because when I saw his press conference after the last game in which they lost 3-0 at home to Minnesota, he said, "No, I'm proud of the guys. I'm proud of the way we played." The game went exactly like we all thought it would go. He said, "We dominated possession. We dominated the game." Of course you were going to have 70% possession. Everybody does against Minnesota United. You played the way everybody knew the game would go, that Minnesota would have limited possession and they would hit you on the counterattack, and they win 3-0 on the road. That game went exactly how Minnesota United wanted it to go. So you played right into their hands, and you didn't create enough quality chances to put the ball in the back of the net, which they have done the entire season. They were a mirage at the beginning of the year. They will fall back down to earth, and I don't even think they'll make the playoffs.
Ooh, Sasha, question is heated up.
Wait, Kate, I think you already mentioned this, but they're like, what, in 6th right now or 5th?
They're in 6th.
So, 6th. So, Sash, who's leapfrogging them?
I mean, off the top of my head, teams that are below them right now, I believe San Jose gets in. Is Colorado below them? I think they're a better team than them.
I'm looking
All right,
now.
so currently right now, Vancouver, Minnesota, Portland, San Diego, LAFC, Austin, Seattle, Colorado, Dallas, San Jose, Real Salt Lake.
There you
Sporting
go.
City.
Seattle, Colorado, San Jose, all above Austin by the end of the season.
Woo-wee. Sasha Clutchin is putting his foot down with Austin. Austin is not making the playoffs.
What have we seen from Austin that leads us to believe that they are going to be a playoff team? Their attack looks like it has no idea how to play with each other. And the crazy thing is they spent so much money.
Do you just feel like there's no level of growth possible? Because because if you say that, it kind of feels like you're saying then that Bakari, Uzuni, and Vasquez just have no quality, which I can't fully subscribe to that, right? Vasquez has shown that he can score goals in this league. I think the key thing there, though, is when you have a number 10 who can create plays for him, right? And I still don't really fully understand what position Uzuni is. When they played with him as a second striker or the striker alongside Vasquez, maybe the solid play didn't lead them to get chances. I don't feel like he's that comfortable as a winger. So my question to you, sorry, is this: you feel like they just don't have enough quality in that area, or is it more so putting those pieces together?
I think it's a combination of both. I don't think we've seen from Bukhari what his price tag reflects. I don't see it. He has not been efficient in the final third. He has not been consistent. He's not set up plays. I wouldn't be surprised if Robert Taylor takes his spot in the starting lineup next weekend at this point. Uzuni and Vasquez are both, I think, a similar profile of player. Now, why would you go out and spend $20 million on two strikers if you're not going to play two strikers, right? Mm-hmm. This seems like a disconnect between the sporting department and the head coach. If you have two strikers like that, you should be probably playing a 3-5-2 or a 4-4-2.
I do like the Robert Taylor signing, though. I agree with you there.
Too.
I do think Robert Taylor is going to bring some quality to that attack. And whether it's beating players off the dribble, getting service into the box, or just showing what he showed in Miami, right? His level of intelligence of occupying the right spaces, arriving at the right time, he will give them a boost. And maybe he'll be the reason why they do make the playoffs, Sash.
One of the positives, though, guys, All-Star is in Austin, which means I got to go shopping yesterday, got myself a little pair of cowboy boots, so I'm ready to go. I'm locked in for that. No, you guys didn't get cowboy boots?
Money. Yeah, this studio crew, y'all out there getting paid.
All right, let's take a look at this upcoming fixtures for Matchday 12 here in Major League Soccer. Chicago welcoming Atlanta, Toronto welcoming DC United, a big fixture for Minnesota as they welcome Lionel Messi and Inter Miami, NYC welcoming Montreal, and then on our tail end of the games after Cincy welcomes Austin, we got Houston welcoming Seattle, and then Sunday night soccer, a mouth-watering fixture, Vancouver welcoming LAFC, our pregame coverage kicking off at 6 p.m. Eastern. All right, well, Sasha's got some hot takes today, so let's keep it even hotter. I want to go into the Golden Boot race because it is so close here in the 2025 season, and it has me almost scratching my head. Sasha, read your article a few weeks back, so let's look at it. We're looking at a potential all-time Golden Boot race 11 match days into the season, so I think it's time we put our money where our mouth is. So let's take a look currently, as of right now, heading into Match Day 12. You have Chicho with 7. You have Hugo Kuipers with 7. Ty Baribo with 7 goals. And Brian White with 6. And then there's 8 others on 6 goals. So, Sash, let's start with you. Who are you picking for this year's Golden Boot as it currently stands?
I would put my money on Brian White right now. And
wow.
I really like the way he's come on in the last couple of years, but it's also just the team that he's on. It's Vancouver. They create chances. They dominate games. He puts himself into good positions. He understands what his strengths and weaknesses are, and he's constantly in the spot where goals are scored. I think over the course of this season, he's going to prove that he is a consistent goal scorer, that he puts away his chances. And I think he wins the Golden Boot this year.
But guess what? He's not the MVP for Vancouver, considering Sasha, because he's only scored 3 goals yet in regular season play.
3 games. Yeah. He's only scored in 3 games. Listen, he had that 4-goal outburst against Austin. But listen, I believe the consistency will be there for him this season.
Okay. Shock. Big shock that you chose a former Red Bull player. But
I never even played with him. I didn't spoke to him in my life.
Didn't say he was a teammate. I just said a former Red Bull player. So it is what it is. It's pretty predictable.
You better not choose Ty Baribo now.
Damn. All right. Yeah, all right. Let me rework this in my head real quick now.
Mo, do you want me to take Ty Baribo and you can switch?
You know what else? Here's where I'll go then. Since you just called me out on that. All right. I'll go Hugo Kuipers. Right, with all the links and the rumors of Kevin De Bruyne going to Chicago. I mean, Hugo Kuipers, I think he's on 7 goals, you said there, Kay, already.
Yeah.
And I was just watching the last game, watching some of the clips from the last game. The guy could have had a brace in that game as well, maybe even a hat trick based on the chances that he got against Orlando City. Now, if you introduce Kevin De Bruyne to that team and he's supplying this guy with chances, to me, the amount of opportunities that he's going to get per game drastically goes up, and he puts himself in contention as long as he's clinical. But he puts himself in contention to be right there at the end of the season.
I'm looking at the list right now. The 8 other players, Evander, Joseph Martinez, Christian Benteke, Diego Rossi, Alonso Martinez, Diego Luna, Kevin Denke, and Sam Suric. How do you pick a Golden Boot winner as of right now? Like, my heart is telling me, because I love Diego Luna, but I just don't think the team's good enough with RSL, but he just continues to ball out. Then you have Diego Rossi. If you have Columbus Crew that add maybe something else, Daniel Gazdog starts to flow in the attack. Can he be that player? Oh, what do I do?
Kaylin, pick one. Let's go.
She's just going to give us a little brief summary on every player.
Just tell us what every player does.
He's playing alongside Evander. The 2 of them are going to score goals, and since he's going to do well, and
if Sam Suric scores 4 goals every game, he'll probably win the Golden Boot.
I feel very targeted right now. I don't love it. I am the host. I'm not an analyst on this specific show. And then you stole Brian White. You know I'm a Vancouver Whitecaps girl. How could you do me dirty like that? Sure, I'm going to go Ty Baribo. There. Okay. End up. Just because Mo was going to go with him. And yeah, we got to give him some love.
We got to give Benteke some love. Because, I'm
also
sorry.
Also, DC United.
But
what did we say last year?
Yeah, we did. We said the same thing last year, and he was the one who pulled it off at the end of the season. Who was closest? Denny Bouanga by 3 or 4 goals. So. Benteke has consistently shown in MLS that he gets his goals as long as there's just the teensiest bit of service. He will put the ball in the back of the net.
Paul Pogba potentially to DC.
Yeah.
You're just shaking your head, not gonna happen.
First of all, I would absolutely love that to happen, because I would just love to see Paul Pogba back playing football. I mean, what a player at his prime and in his peak he was, just so fun to watch. And I would love to see it, because you would give Christian Benteke a legitimate help, some consistent help. So yeah, I would love to see that happen.
All right, well, that does it for us on This Is MLS. Mo, go put your knee up. Sasha, take your day off. Sit by your pool with your Cabana boys bringing you margaritas.
Cabana boys.
Or girls, I don't know.
Kaylin has a pool, and I don't. This is deflecting at an all-time level.
Mo has a pool as well.
Gotta go.
So these two have pools. These two have pools, and I don't.